Detective Sergeant Dana Coston, C-O-S-T-O-N, Cape Coral Police Department Public Affairs Officer. I appreciate you all coming tonight and on relatively short notice. Earlier this evening I got some information from the Major Crash Investigator, and I wanted to pass that information on to our media partners and on to the community. Today the Major Crash Investigator arrested William Gulliver, white male, date of birth 7/9 of 1940, the driver in the July 20th crash that occurred at Diamond Billiards, on a warrant for the following charges. 1 count, DUI Manslaughter, a second-degree felony. 1 count, DUI with serious bodily injury, a third-degree felony. 3 counts of DUI causing damage to persons or property, first-degree misdemeanor. 1 count of battery, a first-degree misdemeanor. Last week, the Major Crash Investigator completed the legwork portion and the lab work portion of his investigation and submitted an application for an arrest warrant. Earlier today, the Major Crash Investigator received notice that the warrant had been approved and was active. When the Major Crash Investigator came into work, he contacted the Lee County Sheriff's Office Warrant Division and requested their assistance. Lee County Sheriff's Office deputies made contact with Mr. Gulliver at his residence and notified Corporal Andrew Satterlee, our Major Crash Investigator, that they had made contact with and were standing by with Mr. Gulliver. Corporal Satterlee responded to the residence. At that time, Lee County Sheriff's Office deputies turned Mr. Gulliver over to the custody of the Cape Coral Police Department. At that point, Corporal Satterlee transported Mr. Gulliver to the Lee County Jail for the warrant that was issued. So that is the update that I have for all of you regarding this case. That ends the police department's investigative portion of this. We're hopeful that we have been able to compile the most complete and thorough investigation that we could that will result in a successful prosecution in this case going forward. So I know that we're a little bit pressed for time for you guys to do your 10 o'clock broadcast, so what I will do is open the floor for a few questions and let you guys get set up outside for your 10 o'clock live shots.
Can you just start by explaining the seriousness of these charges?
Well, they're very serious. Multiple felony counts, high-level misdemeanor counts as well. So I mean, you're looking at a very serious charges that could have a significant amount of jail or prison time attached to them.
Was there an intent that he intended to do this?
That I don't have any information regarding intent as far as that goes. The DUI manslaughter, that is typically what you see when somebody is intoxicated and not necessarily with intent to strike a person or another vehicle causes the death of another person. So that what you're referring to probably would be more appropriate for a vehicular homicide charge.
Can you go through the counts one more time?
Sure.
The charges?
Counts on the warrant are as follows. 1 count, DUI manslaughter, a second-degree felony. 1 count, DUI with serious bodily injury, third-degree felony. 3 counts, DUI causing damage to persons or property, first-degree misdemeanor. 1 count of battery, a first-degree misdemeanor.
Is he being held with any bond right now?
Currently, this is a no-bond warrant and hold for hearing. So he should go before a judge very soon.
You said he was arrested at his home on Pine Island?
That's correct.
And by LCSO, and then they turned him over to you?
That's correct.
Do you know if he said anything or resisted in any way, shape, or form at all?
I do not have any information about any resisting arrest. No.
Can you just go back and explain again why this took the amount of time it did? You know, we have tons of people who are like, why hasn't this guy been arrested already? But explain the process.
I think that most of the people interested in that actually is probably more media than public. The time that it took to make this arrest is very standard in a case like this. Our traffic homicide investigators, when I talk with reporters, I like to say don't think of it as a traffic crash. Think of this as a homicide investigation that happened to involve a car. Everything that we would do on a homicide investigation, we have to do with a case like this as well. So from the forensic analysis at the scene, forensics of the vehicle itself, lab work, and the high-level math that it takes to do these type of reconstructions. This can take several weeks and sometimes several months. So expecting a probable cause arrest the night of the incident wasn't realistic, and it would not have done the families, the friends, the loved ones of the victims any service whatsoever. By handling this case in the way in which we did, this enables us to have everything ready to go to trial. So if we had some miracle of jurisprudence and the trial was tomorrow, we're ready to go.
Once you make an arrest, the clock starts ticking, right? You have a certain amount of time to get them to trial.
That's correct. The question was, once we make an arrest, the clock starts ticking. That's true. The arrest clock begins once the charges are made, and a defendant has the presumption of innocence, and B, the right to a speedy trial. The last thing we would want is to put the prosecutors in the position of having to scramble and hope that lab work or hope that something that they are waiting on that might be a linchpin of their case gets back in time.
Did you ever worry about him being a flight risk or anything?
I had no information that would lead me to believe that he would be a flight risk. We have had cases where that has occurred in the past, but that is why we have a very good relationship with other law enforcement agencies in the country, and we didn't have any specific information that would lead us to believe he was going to flee the jurisdiction.
What potential jail time does he face?
You would have to take a look at the sentencing guidelines there.
Have victim advocates been in touch with Ms. Gerard and Ms. Booker?
Our victim advocates, great question. We have a very active victim advocate program here, and they have been in contact with the victims, with really anybody who's been affected who might need assistance. And it's a long process for the survivors, it's a long process for the families, and we do what we can as a police department to provide them what assistance we're able to.
Does that include Diamond Billiards as the other people that they've been in contact with?
I don't know specifically if they talked to the business owner. Yeah, couldn't tell you that for sure.
Is the business owner going to face any responsibility for this at all, for possibly letting an intoxicated person leave?
I don't have any information that would lead us to believe that that is going to be part of this investigation. So if there is something pertaining to a case, what you're referring to, where you may have an overservice, I haven't heard anything to that effect at this point.
How does it feel that that this has finally happened and you don't have to answer the questions anymore?
Well, it unfortunately or fortunately, because we have done so many traffic homicide investigations over the years. I mean, this has been a relatively deadly year here in Cape Coral. Our traffic homicide investigators spend weeks in school and years honing their skills. I have every confidence in them that when they are putting one of these cases together, it's going to be complete, it's going to be thorough, and when it's ready to go to court, their ducks are going to be in a row. As far as answering questions from the media, I'm more than happy to do so. As you all know, I make myself available to you as much as I can. Sometimes you all ask the same question repeatedly, and I provide the same answer in multiple formats to multiple people. So, this was a long and technically complex case, and it is good to see that it's come to the conclusion it needed to come to.
Proud of the work that your officers and investigators did?
Very much so. Our traffic homicide investigator, Corporal Satterlee, has been in, I believe he's been in the unit for over a decade at this point. He is, you'll see his name attached to a lot of the news releases that we send out regarding traffic homicide investigations. So when you're talking about people who have a technical knowledge and a procedural knowledge of how these cases need to go forward. Very often, if I have a general question about traffic homicide or major crash investigations, I'll actually seek him out as my subject matter expert to get answers for all of you.
At the risk of it sounding like the same question we've been asking you for weeks, why today and not, say, yesterday or 2 days ago or 4 days ago or a week ago? What made it possible to make the arrest today?
The warrant was approved today. Yesterday, day before, last week, warrant wasn't approved.
Does he have a current mugshot available?
Lee County Sheriff's Office will have one probably by later on tonight or early in the morning. I don't have one.
You mentioned that the investigation was technically complex. What about it made it so?
Well, when you're looking at traffic homicide investigations, or again, major crash investigations, you have the two-scale mapping of the scene, you have the forensic analysis of the vehicle itself in terms of its mechanical function, you have the lab work that goes into the blood work that has to be sent off just on the driver themselves. So there are a lot of moving parts, all of which are science-based and none of which take the short amount of time shown on television. So while the investigators on your favorite Friday night cop drama can get things done in an hour, real life tends to be several weeks to a few months in some cases for some of that lab work to get done. Anything else, guys? I know that you all have to set up for your 10 o'clocks, so if we don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and break here. And for those of you joining us on Periscope, thank you very much. This is Detective Sergeant Dana Costin with the Cape Coral Police Department Public Affairs Office signing off.